Now, Police Minister Fikile Mbalula is expected to announce a new head of the Hawks on Thursday. Mbalula will meet the crime-busting unit in the morning before holding a news conference in Pretoria. This after the North Gauteng High Court dismissed Ntlemeza's application for leave to appeal the setting aside of his appointment and ordered him to vacate his office with immediate effect. The police minister had earlier on Wednesday withdrawn an application to appeal a High Court ruling that ordered Hawks boss Burning Ntlemeza to vacate his office. Ntlemeza, however, wants to petition the Constitutional Court. Freedom Under Law and the Helen Suzman Foundation are currently arguing that Ntlemeza vacate his office immediately. The North Gauteng High Court dismissed his application, saying there was no prospect of another court arriving at a different conclusion. Former Minister Ntlemeza had lodged the application on behalf of Ntlemeza. Civic rights organizations, the Helen Suzman Foundation and Freedom Under Law are already arguing and demanding that Ntlemeza vacate his office immediately. Constitutional law expert and political analyst Professor Shadrack Gutto joins us live in studio for more on this. Prof, thank you so much for joining us. Now, why would the minister drop his backing of the embezzled former Hawks boss Burning Ntlemeza?
Well, I think it is a political matter, not so much a legal matter. The minister is acting politically. But at the same time, I think it is a question where we are looking at the level of independence of the Hawks is problematic since we came from a period when we were dealing with the scorpions and so on, and there were a lot of battles on whether the new body which was being created had the same level of independence as the previous one. And I think it is quite clear to the public and those of us who analyze this to say the independence that the Scorpions had was reduced when the Hawks was created. And the minister, the reason for reducing the powers and of independence of the Scorpions was really to weaken that aspect of policing in the country and of investigations in particular, because that's the role of the police and all other structures within it. So I'm not surprised that the minister really is coming forward to try and say, let us protect the Hawks. But the Hawks within itself, even if it was not being compromised, has compromised itself in a number of cases, some of it including the war around Zimbabwean cases, which have not been really ventilated properly in a court of law to be able to find, was there really rendition at that level, or was there none? So we are dealing with a police service with various units which are supposed to act independently, including the police investigation unit and so on. But they are fighting within themselves, and in doing so they are weakening the cohesion of policing in the country, investigation of crime, prevention of crime, and so on. And I think something needs to be done, and the new minister really needs to come forward and have an independent investigation into what is wrong, so that it is corrected, rather than us shouting, oh, the minister said this there, or the police commissioner said this and there, or the Hawks did that and that. I think we are going round in circles rather than trying to solve the problem which is facing us. The police are very central on promoting the rule of law as our Constitution promises. It is a pillar that is very, very important. It just, I'm not going to compare it with the judiciary because that's a branch of government which is very powerful. But the police are critical in the criminal justice system in the country.
Now, Prof, can this be viewed as some sort of purge? As a purge?
Yeah, in a way, I think we are living in a situation in the country at the moment where a lot of things are breaking down. It is not just when you are dealing with politics where the politicians, from the top, the president, is breaking down a lot of institutions in the country. So we are dealing with a breakdown within the police service, which is actually entrenched within the Constitution and its functions. And they have to conform with that, whatever structure they create within it. But they also have to collaborate effectively with the other security agencies, because the security agencies are within the national defense, they are within the police, within the security services. There are those three structures within the security services in the country which needs to be strengthened. And we need to review as a country and as a people, because we want to have confidence on our security services, whichever, and how they operate so that we feel secure.
Now, Prof, is there any constitutional avenue that Ntlemeza can pursue from here?
Well, I think I'm not going to be a legal advisor for Ntlemeza, and I think it would be wrong for me to do so. All I would do is to say that he should try to see if there's anything, but at the same time, I think he stands on a very thin ice. I won't elaborate, but I believe that let him seek legal advice, proper legal advice, not those who are just protecting people. We have a lot of what we call, oh, there was legal opinion here. A council gave opinion, or we got legal advice, but some of those legal advices, when you really look at them, they don't conform to the Constitution and the laws of the country. They are shallow. They try to give justification for things which have been done, which are not correct. I'm not saying all of them, but many of them. So whatever legal advice he gets, and I hope that part of the legal advice he gets is also not racialized, because we have seen our leaders, even black ones, up to the presidency, whenever there are legal advices which are being sought, whenever the questions of legal representation which are being done in courts of law, they run to the very people they blame, that they were white people who used to control this, but they are the ones promoting it and not changing it, unless they are talking about, oh, transformation here, transformation there. I think we as black African people and professionals ought to stand up and say we want that to change. But that does not mean you exclude the brilliant and some of the very experienced white experienced. You team them up and you build so that we change the way things are going. We don't want the same paradigm where whenever there are serious cases involving government institutions, politicians, whether black or white, all you see before you are white legal representatives. I think that needs to change.
Now, Prof, very quickly, the North Gauteng High Court has dismissed Ntlemeza's application, saying that there was no prospect for another court to come to a different conclusion. We've seen the Helen Suzman Foundation, Freedom Under Law, calling for Ntlemeza to vacate his office immediately, which the court also came to that conclusion.
Yes.
Are these sort of delaying tactics? Is there a possibility that things may change?
No, things can change. Change is one thing you can never change. Change will always occur. The question is, how does it occur and in what direction? So yes, I believe that change will occur, but because of the court ruling, and it is not just those who went to the court, we are now dealing with the court decision. So we analyze the court decision rather than the views expressed or the presentations made to the court by the institutions that are litigating. I think sometimes we confuse that when there is a court case and a party that brings the case either wins or loses, we target that party rather than looking at this is a judicial decision. Whatever the court's rule must stand unless you appeal them. So the only route forward is there room for an appeal, and if there isn't, then it rests. And the highest court in the country in all these matters is the Constitutional Court.
So the issue of a possible room for appealing, Police Minister, the new Police Minister, Fikile Mbalula, is expected to announce a new head of the Hawks division. Now, he will be meeting with the crime-busting unit in the morning before holding the press conference. Is this a bit premature for the new minister to announce a new head? If there's a possibility of a continued legal action, whether there may be an appeal or if a decision may be changed, what does this mean going forward? If the minister makes an announcement of a new head of Hawks and later Burning Ntlemeza is able to get legal advice and to appeal the court's decision, then it creates another situation.
Yeah, I think that if the matter has not gone to the highest court, the Meza has, legal rights under the Constitution to appeal. If he doesn't appeal timeously, the minister can't just wait.
Okay.
And I think that is the question. Is he ready to appeal? The question of whether there is no prospect, even that can be appealed. The whole question that a lower court, even if it is a high court or court of appeal, has made a decision of that nature, it has to go to the highest court of the country to say, is it really true that there are no prospects? But that depends on how you advance your case in court. And if you don't give a credible reason and evidence that may be new, that were not properly interrogated in the earlier stage, then they will say, no, the prospect of success just based on what was presented before are very weak. So I think
should the minister wait?
The minister, I think it's difficult. The minister should actually indicate, in my view, if I was advising him, and I don't want to advise him, because they have so many advisors whom they are paying large sums of money. I don't want to advise him free of charge. But all I would say is the minister should not rush to be able to appoint somebody if there is an appeal going to be made. But that appeal has to be made timeously, not to wait for too long. Has there been an indication from the person who wants to appeal on what time frame And have they already lodged that to say we are going to appeal and we need this time to be able to lodge that appeal on the following basis? Then the minister should hesitate and not rush, because then that position may be challenged later on, or may be found to have been an unusual and unreasonable, irrational appointment when a process was going on in courts. But at the moment, are we dealing with a process going on in courts? If there was, the minister should keep off.
Prof, unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And that was constitutional law expert and political analyst, Professor Shadrack Gutto, joining us in studio.